Okay, the first step that you need to take in order to get this working is to go down to the bottom left corner and go to the File Explorer. Once you've opened that, on the left hand side of the page you'll find this PC. Then from there go up to Whole School Documents, double click on that. Then find Art and Design Mr. Glover. Then into Year 9 because you're in Year 9, and then go into Graphics, and then go into Client Clothing page. In here you have several different clothing choices. There's probably more in there than there is in this video at the moment. You need to pick two. So you're going to do one full design and then you're going to save it and then do a different design. Double click on the one you want to start with. Feel free to open all of them to have a look at which one is which. It might take a little while to load, but you do have to do two. So feel free to open all of them. Okay, once you have chosen which file that you're going to use, or which two that you're going to use, you then will open the screen to something that looks a little bit like this. You could have the t-shirt, you could have the trousers, the female t-shirt, male t-shirt, hoodie, whichever one you pick, they'll all have a similar layout. What we need to focus on is what's happening down here in the bottom right corner. That's the most important aspect. So you are going to go through and you're going to change the ones that have got the green symbols on them. The red ones are locked, as you can see. They are locked for a reason. Do not mess with them. This file has been set up so that it can be manipulated by you. But don't mess with the red ones because they'll mess with the core characteristics of the file and you do not want that. So what you're going to do to start with is decide on a color scheme that you want. On the green ones, you have got what looks like either a camera symbol for you or it's a circle with a line through it. So it's either a camera or it's a circle with a line through it. It looks different on different versions of Photoshop, but you are aiming for this bit here. If you double click on it, you'll get a panel that appears somewhere up here. Mine's appeared really high up and it's got this bit in it, the color bit. If I click on that, I get the opportunity to go through and change the color. Now you can see if you look here that as I change the color of the drawstring is changing. So this bit here, as you can read on it, it says string end color. So clicking on that and then clicking on the color tab at the top changes the color of that. This one is going to change the whole drawstring color. So if I click on this, it opens a white box here and I can go through and I can change how that looks and it'll change in real time. Same process, going to go down. This one is going to change the color of the hoodie. So if I click on this bit here again, up to here now, and now this will change the entire color of the hoodie to whatever color you kind of desire. When you're happy with the basic colors on your t-shirt, your hoodie, or your trousers, what you've got the opportunity to do then is to put designs on this, but you must put the designs between these layers. Okay, so where it says put your design below this, put the design below it. Where you've put the design above it, put the design above it. Makes sense, doesn't it? So your design can either be drawn on using the paintbrush tool or it can be added using logos and images from Google. I'm just going to start with the paintbrush tool because that's the simpler one. So click on one of these two, doesn't really matter, and then go down here. This is how you make a new layer. Press that and it's going to create a layer, but it's not necessarily going to put it in the right place. I need this to be in the middle here. Click and pull it down and drop it in the middle. Now it's between them. This will work as intended. So over here on the left side of Photoshop, there's the paintbrush tool. If you just left click on it, what this does is it gives you the ability to draw on Photoshop using the paintbrush tool, but you can't really draw outside the area as I'm trying now. But if I was to draw through the t-shirt, you can see it's leaving a paintbrush line behind. You can manipulate your paintbrush and you can make it look like it really fits on the t-shirt, on the jumper or the trouser layer very well. Your first step that you need to do is go to the layer here, make sure it's light grey, it's selected, and change this up here to multiply. This will affect the way whatever color you put on the jumper looks and will make it look as if the shadows on the jumper are affecting it. So if I right click now, I get the paintbrush menu. So if I want to change the size, I can do it like this. So the size is small, size is large. And if I was to paint over it now with black, not much is going to happen because black is pretty much the only color that doesn't work with this. You can use dark grey, but black won't work. But black is a good way for me to show you the different kinds of paintbrushes. If I right click, I can change my hardness. If the hardness is all the way to 100, I get a very crisp paintbrush. If the hardness is all the way to 0, I get a very fuzzy, soft brush to the outside. Depending on what you want to do, you can change the hardness and the size. I'm going to keep mine hard because I'm going to change different parts of the hoodie and I want a nice crisp edge to it. Now if I was to go here to the color tab, this is how I change what color my paintbrush is. I'm just going to make mine like a dark blue to paint over, slightly darker blue. And now when I paint over the shadows, because this is set to multiply, I should still be able to see the shadows of the jumper coming through the color. So what I could do now is change the size a little bit, it's a little bit big, and I'm just going to literally paint out this bit to start with. So just the sort of the edges of the hoodie. You can obviously take way more time with this if you want to. I can change that, I can change this, go bit by bit, and it's completely up to you. If you wanted to make the whole sleeve this color, you could do. So I could just go up to the seam there, and I could paint all of this bit. Slowly and surely, you can do a very careful, very good job of this. If I really, really, really hate that, I could change it to a different color. It could be the most garish, brightest, ugliest color in the world. But as you paint and paint and paint, you don't really want to be overlapping them because the colors are going to get darker and darker. And this happens. This takes us to the second tool, which is this one here, which is the rubber tool. This tool works the same way as the paintbrush. If you right click, you can change the size and you can change the hardness. So I'm going to do a really big rubber and rub it out. And this is only going to get rid of whatever is on this layer here that you've made. It won't change the base color. So if I go back to my red now, I could paint over it. It's still not working because red and blue don't really want to work well with each other. So I probably have to go into this bit here and change the color again. So if I was to change this to red, I'd have a really bright red t-shirt. I get a little bit less bright red because that's obnoxious. And then maybe I can try painting with blue on here. Again, these colors don't work so well together, so you might have to change your design scheme. Let's go over lighter blue. Yeah, doesn't really work. Kind of turns it into a purple because red and blue mixed together kind of make a purple. But it's not too bad. Now you can change the design and the color scheme of this, and you could do 15 different ways in the time that the rest of the class is able to draw out, trace, and create their hoodies. So you have got all the time in the world to really go through like 5-10 different variations of the color scheme until you're completely and utterly happy with it. Something else you can also do once you've got a color scheme ready is you can begin putting in designs. So for example, in your folder that you've just been into, we have the Matthew Arnold tree vector, which is the school's logo. Yours might be called something else, but you'll have a picture in here that's something along the lines of tree. Now if I grab this and I pull it, I can pull it into Photoshop. If I let go, it's going to drop on top of Photoshop, and you can see already there's like you can see the shadow kind of shining through. So it looks like it belongs on it already. Like I could have it on the sleeve and the shadows are shining and it looks like it fits in the right place. So all I've got to do is figure out where I want this to go. I could have it smack bang in the center here. I could move it and have just like have this part here, and I could even use the rubber tool on this and I could get rid of the bottom bit here. It's completely and utterly up to you. Now depending on the color of your jumper, the shadows that are showing through might not come through very well. So what you might have to do is click on this bit here again and just go through these until you find the one that looks the best, and this is going to be completely different depending on what colors you've used. So I can't show you every single color, but change this until the Matthew Arnold tree logo looks good. So do whatever you want with it. I might make mine nice and small, and I'm just going to put it up here just underneath that bit. You can also do this for any picture. So if I was to go into Google and I'm going to go into Bing And let's just, for the sake of argument, because I showed it to you on the board earlier, let's just use the Stussy logo again. Go into images, and I might want to find an example of the Stussy logo. Good, I'm going to use this one. Going to right click on it, copy image, go back into Photoshop, Control V. Make sure the design is between this and between this. It's still really important that all of your work is between these. Now this is an annoying picture because it's got this weird background, but you know how to remove the background of stuff now using Photoshop because you did that as part of the illuminated letter. I will quickly do that here now if Photoshop wants to work. Here we go. And then if you want to be really specific, you can cut out all the extra little bits and pieces. This isn't so important for me because I'm just showing you what to do. And then the same thing, I can decide where this is going. If I want this to seem a little bit more transparent, I can go through these layers and see if one of them looks particularly good. That's kind of an interesting looking version of it. Still looks like it's on the fabric. Set it to one that works for you. Move it about. Color your jumper until you're completely happy with it. You need to do 2 of these. When you are done, you're going to go up here, File, Save a Copy, and you're going to call it Hoodie, I suppose, and make sure you change this bit to JPEG. Once that's done, you can go back into your folders and you can print it. So I need to find mine. My one is there. I'm going to right click, properties or show more options, and then you're going to print it. But you want to make sure it's not too big. You want 2 things to fit on one document. If you're not sure on how to do that, just ask me in the lesson.